What's going on?
Crap from the bottom of the ocean.
Oh, crap. It's not that bad, jeez.
Dude, I remember Helga from Hey Arnold used to get away with saying saying crap
Really?
way back in the 90s.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Hey Arnold was such a good.
It was a good show. All right, so what's going on, everybody? Tales from the Bottom of the Ocean. We are doing, as I promised, The Prince by Niccolo Machiavelli. Very good book. I've read half it, and so far it's pretty good. It's really insightful into the.
We need a tutor to help us learn better, so give us money on Patreon. Do the thing I forgot.
What do you mean you forget?
I don't remember. Patreon, I don't know, .com/.
Patreon.com/area22. So easy to remember. What do you mean you don't remember?
I don't remember because I don't have a good enough tutor because no one gives us any money.
Stop Mike's rampant stupidity.
I had contemplated when I said we got to. But like I said, like when we did that, I was gonna say something about Patreon and be like, "I'm going broke, please help." But I don't want anyone to like take that seriously.
And people, he didn't want people to actually think he's broke.
Yeah, yeah.
Doxing? What do you mean? Mike's a shareholder. He's technically petite bourgeois. So you're gonna get your head on a pike. Revolution comes.
Thank God.
Feels good. All right, so Mike, let me ask you a question. What do you think of when you think of a moral state? Can there be a moral state? Like Jean-Claude Juncker recently, who's the I forget what role he plays in the EU, but he was saying that more power needs to go to the EU. They can create a moral state, an empire of good.
That's definitely gonna not work.
But do you think there can be such thing as a moral state?
Yeah, but I don't think the EU would be.
You don't think so?
They already like half the countries. I don't know about half countries. Some of the countries are. It is.
And I know the EU did not treat Greece particularly. Like Greece is a currency and economy. Well,
Or Spiro.
Yeah, Greece in general is just becoming like a cesspool of unemployment and recession. Like I think 40% of the population. Ridiculous. Like,
yeah, I don't know if there could really. I feel like there can't really be one. I don't think there could be a moral state that consists of more than one. Honestly, because there's just gonna be conflicting cultures, and someone's gonna be bitching about something. That's the thing. Someone always bitches, and as long as someone bitches, you're not gonna get morality.
No peace, no nothing.
And it's not like they don't have a right to do so. It's just the fact that, like, I don't know. I think it's be very difficult to make one nation. Like, I feel like the bigger the nation, the more easy it is to be corrupt.
Yo, yeah, absolutely.
Which, I mean, isn't like 100% the case because you have small countries that get corrupted too.
Well, what would define corruption?
That right there, dude. Nah, for real though. 3 viewers just got away from that.
They're gonna go watch the Joe Rogan podcast and Tim Pool now.
I don't know Tim Pool. Well, what was your question? I just forgot because we were screwing around.
How do you define corruption? Like, in a state?
Just discord, dude. Like very obvious unfairness towards the people. One thing I'd say. And then once those people have like went over their limit, and they start like righteous chaos, and then the whole thing goes
righteous chaos. What is that? Like revolution?
Like what they're doing in Hong Kong and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Which is it's not funny. I almost called it funny. But I love that one guy who's like, what do you think about Donald Trump coming to China? He's like, don't come to China. China is, and he says like the A word, the AH word. I feel like that's too harsh of a curse word.
Wait,
you know, booty hole.
Oh.
It's just so
don't come to China.
Crazy, dude.
Wait, so this is some guy who's from Hong Kong.
Yeah, they're like going freaking berserk because they've been. Dude, it's amazing the tactics they come up with to like protest. Like they do the Roman shield thing with umbrellas. Yeah, they do that with umbrellas to get rid of the gas bombs, and they take the traffic cone and put it over the bomb and
douse it with water.
Douse it with water. They recently have been destroying facial recognition towers, like straight up government like properties being destroyed. But like I think that's kind of good. Yeah. I don't really know why they're saying like a lot of them are like comparing themselves to Americans, but like we haven't done something like that in a really long time.
Yeah.
Nobody in our generation or the last really have done something of that caliber.
Well, I mean, there is
think.
like small action
Like the
going on
Killdozer.
between. Yeah.
The Killdozer guy,
The
like him.
Killdozer guy. Listen, we're gonna talk about maybe the failings of the Chinese communist state as we talk a little bit about the so Prince, this guy Machiavelli. So Machiavelli, he got
What a jerk! He put himself on the cover instead of the prince.
he's the one who printed this book. Yeah.
Well, yeah, good point.
But anyway, the Machiavelli, he got a lot of flack for the prince, right?
Mackie, why?
He got a lot of flack for the prince because at the time people believed that there was like a sort of in the realm of Christendom kind of moral purity that you have to attain if you want. He was just like, okay, no, that's why the term Machiavellian like tactics comes through, because he's trying to reflect upon the idea that no, stateliness and statehoods and rulership is vicious, and he actually makes a couple of cases how you can rule an effective state, like abject cruelty.
What is like abject?
We're gonna get to that. All right, so I skipped.
Like
I'm gonna
capital
skip.
punishment?
Kind of, yeah, something like. Well, actually, I'll tell you kind of like a cool story from the book. But we're gonna start with chapter 3 since the first 2 chapters are kind of boring.
Okay, great.
No, dude, like
It's philosophy, dude. Everything's boring.
No, chapter 1 and 2 is like literally like 3 pages.
Whatever.
It's like 5 sentences.
Whatever.
But it just talks about the kind of princedoms, the kind of like states that you can hereditary rulership, like with a king and a prince and shit like that, or public, things like senators, magistrates, etc.
Yeah. Okay.
And he also talks about like things like there's kinds of princedoms where it's like a new prince gets elevated
Like a
in some way.
principality, I think it's called.
Well, a principality is just a land that's ruled.
What's the difference here? Like, what's the difference between that and a prince?
Oh, it's just a different way of calling it.
Fresh principality.
The principality and a princedom are kind of the same. Like, it's the domain ruled. And like, if like you would call a principality a place that's ruled by a prince, and everywhere that the prince rules.
Okay.
So in chapter 3.
Oh, that's why it's not kingdom.
Yeah, exactly.
Why is it called the United? Never mind.
United States.
I was gonna say the United Kingdom. I'm like, oh, okay.
Because it's united. Because when they created Magna Carta, kind of united.
Well,
kings.
isn't the queen?
She's got different power back.
Yeah, but it's still like they're still technically royalty.
Kind of. She can. You basically have to walk into. So we have to ask the queen to form. Like if you're the prime. Have to ask the queen.
Isn't the same thing true with Canada?
Don't think.
I don't remember. I don't really.
I think
either.
Canadian royalty. Anyway, so
I got you got your phone out.
No. This is just some extra notes. But for chapter 3, Machiavelli he sort of explains why how you can secure power,
bread,
how you can get this bread, how you can secure power, how you can attain a new. He explains this by explaining what a mixed monarchy. What a mixed monarchy is. If you already had power and you like gained some new territory, and that territory already had its own kind of monarchy, like absorb it into.
Well, they got to keep their power, or they got to answer the king, or what?
Well, it depends. So, basically, he was saying how like, oh, people they're not gonna really like you too much. Not gonna really like you too much. Before when you go and take their stuff, obviously.
Did the sticky notes like me?
Yeah, I should have. Yeah, whatever. Don't worry about it.
Sticky notes.
But he was explaining how like the people at first aren't gonna particularly like you, but there's ways that you can circumvent this because they're not gonna like you anyway. What you have to do, especially if it's like a different culture, what you got to do is you got to prove that you're one of them. Kind of, you have to live among them. Like you have to kind of show your face. So this might be one of the reasons why the Chinese government might not be doing too well, because
They don't do that.
No.
They frequently don't do that.
yeah, no. There's a very, very strict dividing line between the nobility and the lower class people.
Yeah.
Now you see a wise ruler, Mike, would go among his people and show that he suffers with them, and then he understands the pain that they go through.
Like Bernie, dude.
Yeah, like Bernie, dude.
But Yang's gonna give us free thousands of dollars. So that's like
That's some dosh right there, dude.
that's bread. And like, yeah, you could argue about anything you want, like, oh, who has the better policies, but then at the end of the day, he was giving me like these bags.
Bro, that's bread.
Bruh.
The Conquest of Bread by Andrew Yang.
We should get him on the show. He does like any podcast.
He literally does. He'll do whatever you want, basically. Like, yo,
Let me get my $1,000 early.
yeah, can I have some of that right
Please.
now? Andrew Yang, please.
I need new tires.
If you're listening.
I need new tires really badly.
If you're listening, give this man some tires,
Dude, my
please.
car is basically like this Stephen Hawking of cars. Like it's freaking. Except instead of being smart, it's still not smart.
So it's basically like any crippled person you'll find on the street.
No, there's smart crippled people, idiot.
But you said yours wasn't.
Oh yeah, I mean if I found a particular one, like if I found like we shouldn't use that term. We should say like let's say my car is.
It's the black.
Imagine
sheep
if you had a
cars.
turtle,
Yeah.
and like one of its legs was all twisted up. It's basically my car is.
One of his legs or all of his legs?
One of them, just one of them, because it's really only one tire giving me
The business.
causes me grief.
Fair enough. All right, so
Speaking of China, dude, yeah,
Yeah.
there's this Chinese Facebook and YouTube channel where they like cooked and ate soft-shelled turtles like alive, and they're a vulnerable, like they're an endangered species, and like when they recalled that on that, they were like, it is our culture, so we don't really care. I hate that argument. Like, yeah, but you had to have some consideration.
for the environment.
Plus, they were alive. You couldn't kill them. You couldn't just knock their heads in, and then that's what you do. That's what you do with lobsters.
No, you don't. You boil them alive.
Well, that's what people who don't like boiling them alive do. They crush their heads. Or like, I ever tell you how like they kill lab rats? I love this one.
Yeah.
They kill lab
Fuck the
rats.
prince, I guess.
They kill the lab rats by like, they take food like a snack up here, and they'll climb on their shoulders, and they'll just grab the tail and just slam them against the table
Jesus Christ.
head first.
That's freaking awful. That is actually awful. Why'd you tell us the story?
I don't know. We were posting cringe before about all those things you said. Basically.
Let's move on to chapter 4, because essentially, like, the main point of contention that Machiavelli is making
Mac Daddy.
is making is
Bernie
that
Mac.
the reason why some rulers
Mac
fail.
and cheese.
It's Jesus Christ, Mike, relax. Like, I know it's been a while since you went absolute sicko mode, but come on, we're doing the prince. It's important stuff. You'll gotta understand how to rule kingdoms.
There are no kingdoms left.
That's what you think. All right, so
Barely, really.
So, like, what you have to essentially do is when you establish yourself as a new sovereign in any social group, right? What you have to do is you have to take heed of the larger powers in the world, and you have to essentially you have to go out of your way to make it so they don't get more powerful than they already are.
So can I like become a king right now?
Yeah, if you want.
I'm king.
All right. I hate you.
Oh. I need a subject.
Steve can be your subject. He's going to.
Steve's not gonna be my subject. He's too independent. I need someone codependent, like I don't know, like babies. Like I gotta get a bunch.
You have to get a bunch of babies.
I have to have a bunch of children.
Yeah.
Well, no, then they'll be princes, so then they won't work.
Well, you can just
I
demote
can adopt them.
You can just demote them. You can promote them to peasant
Yeah, you're right.
if you want.
No,
to.
that won't work. Because then I'm gonna get like CPS called.
Dude, the way he talks about colonies is really funny because he literally just says like, yeah, colonies are great. You can just go over there and take things from primitive people and then just give it to your colonists, and they're not gonna fight back. You have to make sure you kill them all. That's basically what he says.
That's terrible.
Yeah, I mean,
The thing is, though, like, I've never heard this argument until recently about how like America, like, oh, they took the land from the Native Americans. People are starting to combat that by saying that they were always like at war with each other. So there was no real like, and that they're technically from Serbia, so there's no real Native Americans or some crap like that.
Well,
I don't know the legitimacy of those, but
well, a lot of
Vinny says hi.
Hi, Vinny.
what's going on? Some of the tribes, the Plains Indians tribes, they did they committed some horrible acts of barbarity to it.
I know
really.
there was a tribe on Long Island that like was pretty peaceful and they got bullied because of it by I think like the northern tribes, and they had to like pay tribute.
Oh, so they got subjugated.
Yeah, so like crazy crap is happening there too. It's just the fact that we came over and ruined that. Like I don't really know what it would be like if we never did that, but
what Machiavelli says actually is that if you can't protect what you have, you don't actually own it. Like good laws and a good military literally exist codependently of each other. So like you can't have good laws without a good military, and you can't have good military.
There probably wouldn't be like any civilizations if some things didn't get conquered.
Yep, it's just the way of the world. Let's move on to chapter 4. What is chapter 4 called?
I don't know.
It's about the kingdom. It's about how Alexander's empire when it fell, it didn't just fall. Well, no, sorry. When he died, it didn't just fall into complete abject chaos, essentially. Okay. And he talks about this by speaking of how princedoms are ruled, and he's kind of using the word princedom colloquially. So he's not saying like, he's not really necessarily talking about a prince. He's just saying a prince is like a ruler.
Okay.
So princedoms can be governed in two ways. The way that the Turks govern their princedom, because you use that as an example, is that the Turks, the exact word, the Sultan or whatever the hell his name is, or what his title is.
The Sultan of Squat.
he would
Swat.
He would divide his kingdom into things called sandjacks.
Okay.
And what they are is essentially they're slave states. They don't really have power, and literally all of his subjects are enslaved to him. Like, and so like he doesn't, what he does is that he picks these sort of magistrates to manage them, but he never, when he puts them there, he never lets them stay there long enough to develop a really strong connection. So he's always moving them.
Okay.
And what Machiavelli was saying, how that's one way you can do it, or you can do it, say like in Rome, which was in a public, or kind of like a republic, or in some kind of feudal state. Or what you do is that you have these lesser barons, and they kind of rule. You divvy up your land between them, but you have the sort of you're kind of like the head of the entire state.
I'd prefer that, really.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's.
It's like real life management. You put, like, let's say you're the CEO, you put managers let's say you're a district manager, you put managers in stores you think they'd like do well in.
Yeah, so they can develop a reputation, right?
Yeah, basically.
All right, so that's
assuming you're not trying to crush anyone who gets up to your corporate level.
Yeah. The interesting thing, like in the previous chapter, this is a direct quote. He says, Machiavelli says, let's see. He who is the cause of another's greatness is himself undone. Like, which I think is kind of interesting, because like, if you willingly elevate people around you to the point where they can even challenge you, then you're essentially almost guaranteeing yourself to become usurped or undone in some way. And that actually happened to none other than Oda Nobunaga. You know who Oda Nobunaga is.
The student has become the master.
One of Oda Nobunaga's lieutenants. The way Oda Nobunaga died is actually really tragic. So, Oda Nobunaga was chasing like I forget who he exactly was chasing, but he was hunting down some like rogue elements of like some army or whatever. And they got to this castle, and he went inside and butchered them all, of course. Like Shimboku Jai is really interesting. It's from the Warring States period in Japan, and he did that. And one of his lieutenants was like, "Yeah, they're in there. Let's get him." To Oda Nobunaga's him and his regiment, and they just killed him.
But why?
Because he wanted power.
Wow.
So maybe that was one reason why Oda Nobunaga.
Well, that's a common trope though. Like your closest kind of like your right hand man like kills you because like to move up you have to be backhanded sometimes.
Exactly.
Terrible.
I mean Caesar, Julius Caesar.
That was funny.
What was funny?
Eat two, Brutus. She.
See.
I don't think it's C.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what yes is in Latin. Yeah.
Word.
Jamie, look that up.
It's dead ass.
It's dead. Is it dead ass?
No.
Etiam. I don't have to read. Etiam.
That's too hard.
Yeah, it's too long.
Etiam.
That's too long. Just say yes. Come on. Well, the Latin.
Power that makes you say yes.
Please say psych. Anyway, that's what he was like when he was getting stabbed. He was like, please say psych. Say psych right now. All right. But yeah, with Brutus, I mean, it's another example why if you were to govern a republic, then are you in essence planning for your own downfall? Downfall.
I don't know.
I mean, what do you think about? What do you think? Often I think some of the people that they're gonna hire when I work in, because I obviously work in IKEA. What if they end up replacing me?
I feel like they wouldn't bother to replace someone at your corporate level.
You think so?
Yeah, I don't think they would care. Like, they don't. I don't think they do that with little. They only do that with like employees that are like have been notoriously bad.
Yeah.
Or like if their pension's too high or they're making too much money there. Like my job purposely got rid of all the people who had high pensions and who had high wages because they worked there for so long. Like one guy was making like $35 an hour, just like slicing meat, and it was ridiculous. Like, you know how many jobs don't pay that much that like you'd think would be way more important?
Yeah.
A lot.
Why do you think they got rid of him?
Because he was making too much money. He was making more than the manager. So they didn't like it just screws with their payroll. And he also is like constantly leaving early, which he always got away with. And I hated that because when I do it, I get in trouble.
Some work related stress.
Dude, I wish I could Mike's Mysteries. How I'm going to like scream in a pillow later about my managers. Well, I don't even hate my managers, but like I just don't want to work.
Yeah. So, the thing about the Turks, right? They're indoctrinated into absolute servitude.
Whatever happened to the Tartars, though?
What?
Oh, he doesn't know about the Tartars.
What's the Tartars?
And you're a history buff. The Tartar? Oh, he doesn't even know about the Tartars. Whatever.
What are the Tartars?
Nothing. Keep going.
Anyway. So, the reason why invading this state would be very easy, right?
I got Mike's Mysteries, though.
All right. I mean, we'll get to it, and then...
Better.
We'll study a little bit more on the prince, and then we'll get to that. So the reason why invading a slave state essentially would be really easy is because
they're all slaves.
Yeah, I mean they're just generally incompetent,
and they also probably don't mind dying too much because their lives suck.
Well, yeah, that, and they're completely indoctrinated into servitude. Now, the reason why. Well, yeah, I mean the main point of contention is that he says that invading them would be very difficult. You need some very high quality arms.
I think it's so stupid that like slavery has ever existed. You have to think like nature. In nature,
yeah,
there's no slavery.
No.
Like look, take the honeybee for example. Take
Minecraft.
The honeybee.
Yeah.
No, we're not talking about Minecraft for real. All the worker bees are equipped with weaponry to defend the hive. Oh wait, but they die. That's still not slavery. They're equipped with weaponry to protect the hive.
Yeah.
And they get paid in honey.
They get paid like.
Yeah, I'd say so. Kinda.
Yeah, all right.
It's not like the queen like whips and beats them until they do what she needs.
Yeah.
Like it's a mutual benefit. There's everyone's a benefactor in being in the hive.
Well, yeah. But so why do you think that's do you think that's just like a better system overall than like slavery?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, if it weren't for the problem of when they sting somebody, they die, that's a problem. All right, so then take hornets. They do the same thing, only they don't make honey and they sting multiple times.
Do they actually?
Yeah, they do. They don't die when they sting.
Oh, Jesus.
That's like I remember I got bit by a yellow jacket, and like I was on a swing, it flew into my friggin' like my chest, and then it fell into my hand, and it started stinging my thumb like over and over. I'm like, what did I do to you? I don't think they make honey. I don't know what they do. They collect pollen. I don't know what the hell they do with it.
They just act annoying, and I hate them.
Yeah.
But so the main point of contention, right, Mike, is that I mean, that's just like slavery for us was just a next step in the evolution of morality. I mean, we talked about this a bit before. Like how like some animals have rudimentary moral systems that are based on energy
Conservation
consumption.
of
Yeah,
energy.
conservation of energy, exactly. For us, it's just easier to it's just more conservative, I guess, of our energy source to just, instead of killing everybody, just to enslave them. Now, I mean, it
Yeah.
doesn't last too long, but what you can do is you can just work them to death. Yeah.
But then that's even like arguably is less moral than just killing them.
Well, yeah, I mean, Machiavelli's point is that like there's no such thing necessarily as a moral state. Like you can have an immoral state where that's almost completely godless, and you know it could still be successful. Which again, we're going to talk about. All right, so the thing about invading a feudal society is that it's easier than an authoritarian state because you can find somebody in that society who doesn't like the king, who doesn't like the higher influences of power, and who is willing to allow you to enter in or to compromise the whole system.
This is true.
So they can get some power from off of your success, some bread off of your success.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
So Mike, now you know how to rule with an iron fist, man. You got to take this knowledge.
All you need is a nuke these days, and there you go.
Yeah, pretty much. But no, I mean,
Warfare sucks now.
it's interesting. There's still power politics, though.
Yeah.
There is still power politics. Like, let me think of an example. Like recently, Emmanuel Macron, against Donald Trump's wishes, he invited Iran into the G7 summit. Right?
Okay.
So, like, the point there is that you have to, in order to properly undermine another state's sort of authority or sovereignty, it requires a sort of chink in the armor, I'd say.
I don't think that was the right word.
What? The chink in the what?
What?
No, chink is an actual word, Mike. It means like a crack.
Is it actually?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I don't think that's the right word.
Face.
Dude, I got so offended out of nowhere because there's a bottle of spigot and span in on my kitchen, like on my bathroom sink. I'm like, how the hell did they get away with that? Someone should really say something.
It's a bottle of what and span, Mike?
It's called spick and span.
Okay.
And I was like, how did they get away with that?
Was it next to the chink in the armor?
No, it wasn't. It was next to the freaking toothpaste. That 9 out of 10 dentists recommend.
No. What about the one that did?
Yeah, we were talking about that before. I said 0 out of 10 dentists recommend something else. I completely forgot what it was.
Poop.
No. Because what happened was I was talking about Blue's Clues.
Yeah.
I was talking like how you remember Salt and Pepper?
Yeah.
They had 2 kids, right? They had Paprika
Yeah.
and they had Cinnamon.
Yeah.
So I was saying, what if Cinnamon like dumped out all of his cinnamon and replaced it with cumin?
Yeah.
And then one day, like Steve needs to get something for like needs cinnamon.
Mike, this is so convoluted. What are you talking? What is this?
All right, so Steve needs to get some cinnamon.
All right.
He shakes cinnamon, but like cumin comes out. He just starts dry heaving on there. I thought that'd be funny.
They did on Drake and Josh.
They did do it on Drake and Josh, but like it'd be funny if it was Steve from Blue's Clues. But the point of the matter is, it had to do with the dentists, and I forgot what it was about.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Mike. That basically useless information.
This show's entirely useless.
What are you talking about? We're doing the prints. It's good information.
Dude, they just read the book themselves.
All right, folks, read the book then. See what you get out of it.
We should do a book club and get like 3 more people here, and we'll all read a book and we talk about it.
At the same time.
Well, we don't read it on the air.
Oh yeah, that's not how book clubs work. All right, whatever. I thought it would just be like an hour of
Dude,
us
it
just reading
sucks.
a book.
I remember I used to have an internship at a PR firm, and like I was talking about like possibly writing a book, and I asked my boss basically like, did people like, because she used to like, she PR'd for books. I'm like, back in the day, I'm like, do people read books anymore? She's like, nah. I'm like, oh. Why don't people read? You can learn. No, I'm gonna watch a podcast instead. All right, talk about The Prince by Mac Daddy.
By the Mac Daddy.
Big
himself.
Mac. Oh, now we gotta pay royalties, boys.
Well, the main how do you, Mike? How do you think the Romans got power? Like, how do you think they took other lands?
By browbeating them.
What?
Like by beating them up.
Sometimes they actually didn't do that as often as you think.
That or like politics offering the chance to wasn't it a republic?
Yeah, it was a republic.
Probably on the promise that like you could actually like have a say in something.
Yeah, it was that they did get to in a lot of ways keep their own cultures, but the central method.
Didn't they have better technology from the Middle East too?
I think they did have steel like early, like
Yeah, because
not early on, but they were the first to actually be able to forge steel, but it wasn't really that. They had superior tactics, but the reason why the Romans were able to spread so effectively is because they were able to exploit the inner machinations of another nation's political processes. Ow. What?
I like swallowed and my freaking jugular like freaking jumped.
Jesus, relax. So they were able to. Basically, people let them in. Like, there were these situations where there were lesser states around them that were either getting invaded or they didn't like the current leaders, so they just said, "Hey, Romans, come in and help us out and give us let us rule over ourselves," because they had a better system overall.
Okay.
Now, the reason why Alexander the Great was actually able to conquer the Persians, ruled by Darius, was because Darius didn't have any divisions of power in his land, because everybody was a slave state, and so conquering them it only took just force of arms. So it's kind of like caveats. If you yourself are the sole ruler of like an entire nation,
when you're gone, there ain't no one else to like help.
Exactly, or if you don't have any, if you're literally relying solely on just bodies instead of just actual competent sub rulers.
Yeah.
Then you're not gonna be able to you're not gonna be able to. How should I say? You're not gonna have if you're not an active participant in the powers that be. You're going to get easily conquered because your people aren't gonna want to. For one thing, they're not going to want to actually fight with you because you're enslaving them essentially, and there's not going to be anybody really to stop them, like in the immediate sort of proximity. So it's an interesting book. Like
I see Martin Luther a little bit, like with the religious part of it.
Oh, about how there's no like actual.
Well, I think Martin Luther was like just like ripping into the church itself. And he got in big trouble.
You did a big no-no.
Yeah. The church, is crazy how much power the church had compared to now.
No, the papacy back in the day essentially was the United Nations. Yeah. But it was like an actual useful United Nations. Like the church at the time was
22 million to save the Amazon rainforest, dude. Freaking the Emoji Movie had like a $50 million budget. Like, come on. That's the best you got. Apparently, I'm hearing a lot of stories that like it's not actually burning as bad as it is.
It's like I've heard some stories about how it's like seasonal fires, basically.
Yeah, or something.
And they're actually only going on in places that have already been cleared for agricultural work.
Yeah, I mean, if it stops within like the end of the month, I'd say it probably was a bunch of crap.
It ended like right now.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, because it was raining outside.
No, shut up.
When it rains, how can the fire still go?
What sucks is like the saddest part about it is like sloths live there, and like they can't get away in time. So they're just like burning alive slowly. Like that's the sound they make. They're like and then they just burn to death. It's horrible.
Imagine just like seeing like a burnt out husk of a tree, and there's like a bunch of freaking weird looking lumps connected to it.
That's horrible.
It's just a bunch of like sloths cooked in, like extra crispy.
I was gonna ask you in a fair way if like imagine if I had an idea.
Yeah.
It's a pretty bad idea, but what if you battered like chicks?
Chicks, eh?
Like baby chickens and like ate them.
Just
like fried them and ate them.
Okay, I was gonna say like just basically eat a chicken with a bunch of egg and spices on it, just alive.
The other form of battery.
Oh no, dude, it's so hard. You might as well do that though, because the way they like get disposed of chicks, like male chicks in those hatcheries, are horrible. Like grind them up, like they're all in like a little thing. It's like zoop, like vacuums them in. They're like
like it's a power grinder. Yeah,
it's horrible.
It is kind of horrible. Yeah,
terrible stuff.
Back to the prince.
But I need my McChicken.
Mike is okay with the state so long as it gives him his McChicken tendies.
Yeah,
we're. Are you tendies or nuggies kind of guy?
Nuggies.
That's gross. McDonald's nuggets are horrible.
No,
they suck.
Nah, they're alright.
Burger Kings was good when they used to be shaped like crowns, but now they're not. So I don't think I like them as much.
You know who else was?
Get the boot shaped one.
No, I don't want that.
You know who else was a crown, Mike?
Prince.
A prince, Mike.
Yeah,
You got it right.
Burger Prince.
Exactly. Exactly, Mike. So let's talk about how you can attain your own Burger Prince.
Own a Burger King.
Yeah, you got to.
Dummy's dad used to own a Burger King.
You used to own a Burger
He used to own like a few Burger Kings, I think. And then he had all these old Burger King toys that got destroyed in Sandy. I was like so pissed. He could have given them to me.
Wait, he owned Burger Kings? Why?
There's a franchise. That's big money.
Yeah, but like
He didn't own Burger King. He owned.
Well, no, I know,
Burger
but like he
Kings.
just like bought them.
Yeah, he bought a business. Yes.
Cool.
Unbelievable that you were at one point able to do that.
That's actually interesting. Franchising. How about that?
Yeah, franchising is kind of just like having barons.
Kind of, yeah.
Like he was the Burger King. Well, he was the Burger Baron.
Yeah.
And who's below a baron? A Dutch? A duke? No, a duke is French and
No, a duke is
a-
actually a lot more powerful than a baron.
whatever the hell. I don't care. The point is, he was like someone who's subjugating his power to other people, and he was also being subjugated by the Burger King himself.
The burger. Yeah. All right. Fair enough. That's
So it's a lot like Machiavelli and
it's Machiavellian practices.
that's Machiavellian practices when you're a king
Whoops. I'm sorry.
and you divide your power amongst other people.
Well, no, he's just explaining how there's multiple ways to actually do it. For one thing, he actually advocates. He advocates for.
Capital punishment.
No.
Ding.
He
ding.
actually advocates for an authoritarian state
Okay.
because it's just. Well, yeah, no, he didn't. There weren't any sort of lesser nobles to actually complicate things. Like the reason why Alexander was able to keep his lands even after he died was because there was no subdivisions of power that actually caused internal strife with their own, like by contending with their own versus the man who was obviously higher up.
I see.
Like it's very interesting because because I guess if we were to go farther to the left in that sort of understanding of how power is divided, they prefer say like a franchise, as opposed to it being headed by a CEO. It would be completely democratic. So like everybody who
Bunch of
worked,
internal users, they'd call it.
well, yeah, but everybody who worked in the Burger King, like everybody, even right down to the employees of the Burger Barons, they would have a diplomatic say. For one thing, there would not even be any Burger Barons. There would just be workers, and they would all have a say as to how the company would be governed.
Employees count as external users.
What does that mean?
I mean, all right, so there's internal users in a company where they're like, that's like the CEO or like accountants that like have a direct kind of input on how the company operates.
Yeah.
And then an external user is like a shareholder or a customer, but all employees are also put into that as well because they don't have an actual say on how the company really works.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
So if they were able to do that, that'd be kind of odd.
Let's go on to chapter 5, Mike.
Okay.
All right, so this
The
is
last chapter you read.
No.
Okay, whatever.
Well, this is how when you acquire a state that you
Okay,
keep
whatever.
it.
I'm talking so low. Why am I talking so low?
Yeah, compressors, you're good.
You're fine, Mike.
Yeah, I still sound
Austin likes to whisper on here.
Dude, I sound like freaking what's this turtle from Rocko's Modern Life?
I don't know about that half.
I don't know about that half.
You can't do it. I do it the best.
You did better in the car.
Like New York accent.
He didn't have a New York accent.
Not that.
You just sound like the. Never mind. Let's move on to chapter 5, Mike. All right. So Mike, Machiavelli makes the case that the best way that you can hang on to a state is by completely destroying it after you conquer it.
You can rebuild from the ground up.
Exactly. So especially republics. All right. Like so back during the classical era, I think it was.
That also makes it easier to have a moral state if you did a bunch of immoral things to get rid of everything so you could build up a moral state.
Yeah.
That's the only way you could do it, really.
Yeah.
And that kind of makes it an immoral state because it's built off of genocide.
Yeah. Let's take for example Sparta. Right.
Yeah.
Sparta versus Athens. Athens lost.
Yeah, they're such nerds. It was like it's so obvious, like how like
Yeah.
you had like the jocks and then you had like the nerds, and like why was Athens so like weak?
Why was it weak?
Yeah, like well, I guess it wasn't they. I guess it wasn't they were weak. I think it was just Sparta was so much stronger.
Well, Sparta was. I mean, they were all pretty weak in comparison to like the Persian Empire, or the Persians.
Just nuke the Spartans.
Because I mean, I told you the methods by which the Persians ruled, with Darius, who basically just created slave states.
Yeah, which is stupid.
You think it's stupid? Why was he so much more powerful than the democratic Athenians then?
Well, because weren't they just smaller? Like, wasn't it just a smaller area?
Well, yeah, I mean, but well, Greece was a smaller area, but the fact is that Greece as a whole was comprised of city states, so
Okay.
they were generally sovereign in their rulership.
Okay.
But I think it wasn't called the Peloponnesian War. It was I forget exactly what war it was called, but it got to a point where it got so bad that they had to unite the various city states in order to effectively counter the Persians. But they only were able to unite like a couple of them, and some even actually, I believe, surrendered to the Persians and got on their side so they wouldn't get actually destroyed. So again, it goes into that whole thing.
Greco-Persian War?
Huh?
Was it the Greco-Persian War?
I think so. I mean, I don't know if they had an actual name for the war.
I remember it being called the Greco-Persian War.
I think so. But the thing is that
Greco-Roman wrestling.
but again, it goes to show that maybe there's obviously some chinks to this.
There he goes again.
There's obviously some problems to this idea of sub-sovereignty in a state. Because if you're being conquered by a larger entity, then the chances of you actually surviving are lower, obviously. Because like, I mean, dude, there was a lot of infighting between the Greek city-states.
Obviously, that's Greeks and Spartans.
Exactly, Greeks.
That's all they ever did.
Now there was a lot of them, but I can't remember the other ones. But
no one talks about the other ones as much as the other two because it's just so much more notable.
Exactly. But the Spartans actually conquered Athens at one point, and they weren't able to hold on to it. And why do you think that is, Mike?
They weren't able to?
No. Eventually, the Athenians got their sovereignty back.
They probably did. I feel like this. I'm using like really stupid logic because I don't really know what I'm talking about. But
Okay, Mike.
I feel like the Spartans were a lot more brutish. They probably didn't think as intelligently as the Athens did. They probably used some kind of methods, like internal methods, like get them against each other or something.
Well, the reason that Machiavelli, he didn't necessarily go over the Greco-Persian War, or the conquest of the Athenians.
When was this book written, by the way?
Oh, when was it written? It was actually written as a sort of letter to, I believe, one of his friends.
I didn't say why it was written. I asked how it was written, when it was written.
I don't know. He lived from 1469 to 1527.
What? That's a long time ago.
Yeah, no, it's a fairly long time ago. But I'm telling you, some of these points are actually pretty relevant. So the reason why you would have lost, because
me personally,
well, let's say you were heading the Spartans in this conquest of Athens, and you decided to do that. The reason why you would eventually lose, the state of Athens was now Athens wasn't necessarily a republic; it was a democracy. But democracy is somewhat of a component of a republic anyway. So I'd say it's about as close as you can get before actually shifting over. But Machiavelli made the case that republics are especially dangerous and need to be destroyed if you want to have like absolute control of the area.
that sounds just like he's trying to be as selfish as possible about it, though.
Well, I mean,
Like Ayn Rand.
well, I mean, the interesting thing, Mike, is that
Yeah, I'm sure.
how do you actually want, like, if power is really the goal, like, if attaining power is what you actually want, then how is that?
But why have the power? That's the thing.
Like, why have it?
Yeah, why actually have the power?
Well, this is an interesting question. If you want to create like a moral state, then isn't one of the key components of a moral state being able to protect your citizens?
Yeah, but you wouldn't really like have you wouldn't have citizens unless like You know, I'm trying to say, like, why put yourself to do that? Like, who? I understand, like, conquering your own home to protect your citizens if you feel like your ruler's not doing that.
Yeah.
But why bother to find other people to conquer to protect them?
Well, I mean, you know, ever heard the saying, "Good fences make good neighbors"?
Yeah.
Well,
Don't
why do
be
you?
my neighbor?
Well, that's one thing, obviously. So you're gonna want to have good, solid defenses. But let's talk about the
The
nuclear.
land of make believe was the other city-state in Greece.
Let's talk about the nuclear deterrent. I
Okay.
mean, would you say having a nuke?
Nuclear detergent.
Nuclear deterrent. Would you say having a nuke is power? Like gives you power?
Yeah, because you could freaking obliterate however much the bomb can do.
Yeah. So I mean, if like protecting your own nation from the predations of other nations forces you to do things that grant you power. So I mean, so let's say you dearly love your citizens. I mean, like, wouldn't you want to do anything to protect them?
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah. So that's why he advocates so strong for forming colonies just by butchering natives. Like just do it. Like it's like it'll grant you power and it's pretty easy to maintain.
Sucks.
Yeah. I mean it's that I mean a lot of people that's the same reaction a lot of people had when he wrote the book. I mean a lot of people were making a lot of people
I'm not
saw
saying the
him-
idea sucks. I'm just saying it sucks. That's how it works.
a lot of people saw him as extremely untrustworthy because of it, because he was basically he was almost ratting himself out as this power hungry madman, but in reality some of it was actually satire, but he was just making the case that no, we in Christendom it really is just
I was
power
being
politics.
ironic, guys.
That's basically it. Like, I was just kidding.
Like he's being hung up on the cross. Like, guys, it was irony. Shut up.
Machiavelli.
Did they even crucify anybody after Jesus was crucified?
I think that was an execution method.
It was, but
the
like,
Romans
because like they
no.
they also had the repenting thief on there, and they had the other guy who was like berating Jesus the whole time. We talked about them before. Like I forgot their names, and I don't care to look them up. But there was the thief that was repenting to Jesus and like believed he was the Son of God and was like asking for forgiveness. And there was the other guy who's like, well, if you're so smart, why are you on the cross like us? I do wonder if they use crucifixion after Jesus or not, though.
I know to crucify someone is a slang term.
Yeah, I feel like if they did, I feel like they didn't. If it's true that they didn't do it after Jesus, I feel like something definitely happened,
Yeah.
like supernaturally, that prevented them from
Supernatural.
like because like a lot of art depicts like after Jesus gets crucified, like, and despite Jesus explicitly asking God like forgive them, they know not what they do. I'm pretty sure like a lot of art and media depicts God as going ape shit right after and like causing earthquakes, and I just shook the whole table like an earthquake. Earthquakes and like thunderstorms and stuff. Like if that actually happened, I feel like that kind of that has to confirm something about Jesus. If they never did a crucifixion again or something because of it.
Yeah, we covered the death of Jesus Christ already, so I don't know, it could be. All right, Mike. Chapter.
Why didn't you just get an Uber, dude? Get an Uber to the top.
This Uber to God's to God's
Instead of
right
Uber, Uber X, but it's a cross instead.
hand. All right, so chapter 6, Mike. All right. Basically, how to form a nation. How to do that sort of thing. All right.
How will be thy gains?
How to be like. Yep, chapter 6.
I want to talk about the Tartars.
What is it? Hold on. What like the Tartars? Like the tartar sauce? What is that?
All right, we're doing the Mike's Mysteries in that case.
Okay, hold on.
All right then. Mike's Mysteries makes a comeback after freaking 25 episodes.
It's 25 episodes. It hasn't been that long.
Mike's Mysteries sucks. Mike doesn't do anything. He's stupid.
It can't suck if it doesn't exist.
Deadass.
It,
Get a new
it,
co-host.
it does exist.
Does it?
Yeah.
Man, this is precious time. We're just freaking burning and burning and burning.
It's a complicated book, Mike.
It's 100 pages.
Yeah, it's still complicated.
Whatever.
Jesus.
Well, you better make it
Christ.
quick because I want to talk about the Tartars.
I guess we could skip this chapter.
We could just-
We're doing a part 2. We are doing a part 2, everybody. You're doing a part 2.
We
so
could save it. Yeah.
I'm sure the Prince fans will be pissed if we didn't say that. So I got to talk about the Tartars
There's
then?
not much in this chapter anyway.
All right, so the Tartars.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So the Tartars were supposedly like a city state or like a country that was conquered. I think by the Turks.
All right.
They were like supposedly decimated. But the thing about it is like people think that it's like an Illuminati kind of thing where like they don't want anyone to know about it.
Yeah.
And the reason why I think this is because Sam showed me this on Wikipedia. On the Wikipedia for tartar sauce.
Yeah.
Let me peep it right now because it always changes. It keeps changing. Steve, pull up tartar sauce and look up the origin on Wikipedia, please, because it constantly changes.
This is the worst Mike's Mysteries.
No, it's the best one because
Actual sauce?
Yes, look up. There should be a history. I want to see if the history goes into the Tartar Empire.
The Tartar Empire.
Because sometimes it is there and sometimes they take it down.
Tartar sauce isn't tasty.
The name comes from confusion over their allies, the Tartars, because of whom the Europeans called Mongolia Tartary. This misnomer came from associating the name Tartar with the Greek mythological hell known as Tartarus.
But they changed that. See, it wasn't that before.
What was it?
Before it was talking about the actual Tartar Empire, dude.
It's named from the Golden Horde, the Mongols who invaded Europe in the 13th century, who were well known to the locals as Tartars.
We should just get Sam on the show to explain this because it's a whole episode worth.
Wow, that's the whole Mike's Mysteries.
Dude, it's crazy. There's a whole civilization no one's allowed to talk about.
Wait, nobody. What is this telling? Forget it. All right. I guess
they
that's
redacted it, dude.
I guess they redacted the Tartars. I guess there were two. Never mind.
You made a lot of uncouth jokes today. I gotta check up that thing you said.
What, the chink in the armor?
Yeah, I gotta really look that up to see if that's actually true.
Oh my God, Mike, it's actually true. I wouldn't just say a bad word on the air.
Jamie looked it up.
A narrow opening or crack, typically one that emits light. A patch of light emitted by a narrow opening or crack. Ah.
The definition like number 4.
Okay, sure. Out loud?
No.
Oh boy.
All right, I guess that's it for the episode. Yeah, The Prince, very interesting book. Chapter 6 only really goes into
Just peeping my phone out.
Yeah. Well, there's not really that much that goes
Part
on.
2, baby.
I can just say what's going on right now. Like it's basically saying that
He's reading.
Oh, it's basically making the case against like
Why you should have part 2?
no.
Why don't you come up with a mystery?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't find life particularly mysterious.
What are you talking? This whole podcast is about asking questions.
Yeah.
How do you have life isn't a mystery? Get the hell out of here. We don't even know why we're here in the first place. We don't know what happens when we die. We don't know why we're born. We don't know why we have a consciousness. We don't know anything.
You don't know how the mind works.
We don't know how the mind works. We don't know what's under the ocean. We don't know what's in space. What the hell? We discover new animals every freaking day.
I don't know. I find those things to be kind of, you know, you can answer them, I guess, with anything you want.
Austin could have a 6-legged cat
What?
on his fucking bed, and he just wouldn't give a shit.
That doesn't make any sense. That's so stupid. You're a hack. Hack. Cancel the show. We're done.
All right.
No, I'm kidding. But there's 1,000 questions every day.
All right. So why don't you answer them or ask them?
All right. Why does I don't know. Why don't I know a question that everyone? Because the thing about a mystery is it's not a It's a mystery if everyone wonders about it, but it's not an interesting mystery if everyone wonders about it.
It's like, oh, why is the sky?
Everyone knows why the sky is blue.
Well, yeah, I know, but like that was a
It's
mystery.
sad.
Nah, whatever. Anyway, that's it for the episode. We're gonna continue more with the Prince if I feel like it. What? We'll do a part 2 eventually.
We ended up doing an hour-long show, even though you said you only wanted a half-hour show. By the way.
Oh yeah, thanks, Mike.
What? Was that bad? Was that redacted information that they shouldn't have known?
I'm gonna be streaming tonight. Salty
cares.
_C_. Yeah,
I'm
nobody.
kidding, I'm kidding,
No,
I'm
you're right.
kidding.
Nobody watched anyway.
I'm kidding.
Yeah. All right. Whatever.
I watch
So
it.
whatever, Mike. Anyway,
I'm sorry, they do watch it.
I'm gonna play some video games. It's gonna be great. Check it out and consider going to our Patreon, patreon.com/area22.
Please, I'm really hungry.
Mike ate his old glasses.
I ate all the cumin and the freaking added cinnamon.
Jesus, that sounds absolutely awful. She was a child. We're going down.
I want to watch Blue's Clues.